Thank you, Mr. Speaker, and it's an honour to get up and to participate in this emergency debate, which does not seem to quite reach that level, what I call an emergency debate. But I want to congratulate the new Premier in her stunning win and victory to become the first woman Premier in the province here. Truly, it was exciting to see at least a few Albertans decide to engage in that process and wanted to participate by spending their $5 to vote on that. But Alberta is a province with a vast potential to lead the way for all Canadians in the years moving forward. We are truly blessed with incredible individuals that are hard workers. We have a beautiful land that is clean and productive and produces some of the best food in the world. We have clean water, we have clean air. We truly are blessed with resources that are second to none. However, I think that each and every one of us in here understand and realize that the real reason why we're blessed and able to develop these resources is because it takes good government that respects the rule of law in order for those opportunities to be fully developed. When facing economic headwinds like these, it is critical that we lead and return to a balanced budget and be the example and a beacon of hope for all the provinces in our Confederation and indeed all of the countries around the world. The new Premier responded a little bit and talked about the economic problems, which again is what the emergency debate is supposed to be about, but yet was not really addressed in any true sense. We had some warm, wonderful words, some direction that she's talking about, but truly question that what's her intent and the direction that she's going to lead the province of Alberta. And again, what she's demonstrated over this last week is that she doesn't respect the rule of law. She doesn't respect democracy. She set off and said that, well, we're not going to sit. Oh, her first thing that she said when she got elected was that we're not going to sit. And then she talks to Cock and says, okay, we need to sit. And then it's just for 2 days. We have a commission, the AUC, that was bringing forward their report today, which she suspended. And so here we have commissions and boards that are being instructed by the province to produce these reports, and then they're squashed. And I think she would be appalled if she saw that going on in some of the other countries where she's gone to promote democracy. Instead, though, what we see, this government is more concerned about interfering and micromanaging our markets here and wanting to pick what I want to call economic losers rather than allow the competition in the free market to develop that. And we see that in many areas. Instead, they're busy promoting a wasteful program like spending $2 billion on carbon capture and storage. This is not the proper answer in what we need. We need to promote the responsible development of our oil sands. We need to ensure that the Northern Gateway Pipeline is our top priority. She talked about it, but is it her top priority? I don't think so. No democratic accountability. Again, the House is going to recess for 3 weeks so they can go out and rejig. And let's ask, why is this problem developed? Because of this government's poor timing on when they wanted to pick the new Premier. They knew that the House sat on October 24th. They knew that way back in January when they were trying to set up the schedule to say, this is what we're going to do. They've created this own problem and then say, oh, we need some more time. No, what they need is some more competency, which they are lacking incredible on. And while our new Premier continues to plunge into our savings accounts for such simple things as a patronage appointment for her political rival who was far exceeding her on the first popular vote before they went back to the people to have a popularity contest, to let's say we'll spend $260,000 plus a year, when what we really should be doing is focusing and promoting on our pipeline that gets our oil to Asia and India. As we have witnessed the controversy over the Keystone Pipeline, we no longer want to be beholden to the U.S. or the EU, who seem to show their desire to buy from dictatorships that have no problem supporting terrorism around the world. These areas where they want to claim as a better place to buy oil and gas doesn't even allow their women to vote. They don't allow them to go out in public and show their face. And yet we listen to the EU and the U.S. Put a black eye on our wonderful province and our development of our oil sands. this is an area that should have been focused. Gary Marsh said he'd be down in Ottawa on the 7th of October to fight for that Keystone Pipeline, but it fell silent. But the Northern Gateway Pipeline to the Pacific Coast is a necessity for this province and our country. Are we going to maximize our revenue from our resources, or are we going to be held captive to a market that wants to badmouth us on one side and yet take their oil from other states that are far more brutal and, again, barbaric in their production of the oil? We can do better, but this government is more interested in controlling and claiming credit when they have little to do with the economic prosperity that we enjoy. More often than not, the entrepreneurs and the businessmen that excel in this province do it despite of this government's policies rather than enhanced with this government's policies. Albertans deserve better and right now we're paying for more bloated bureaucracies and individuals going to Asia and more red tape that stifles the Alberta entrepreneur. If this government is serious about improving the state of our economy, they need to stop meddling in the lives of everyday Albertans and our businesses. This government needs to begin to apply common market principles and begin to capitalize on the Alberta spirit and competition in an open and competitive market. The same Alberta spirit and entrepreneurial ingenuity that allowed us to unlock the oil sands and apply it to our prosperity. We have many problems and challenges that this Premier has failed to address at this point. I just want to touch briefly on health care. That right now Albertans are paying the highest per capita than anywhere in the world, in the developed world, but yet getting some of the poorest results in those areas. And it's very disappointing that the Premier has not addressed what we're going to do on that. Albertans agree in universal access for health, but they are tired of a health care system that operates under the same manner as North Korea and Cuba, instead of applying practical European model solutions based on the competitive delivery of health care services. For too long, this government and their progressive pals and the NDP and the Liberals have gotten away with fear-mongering vulnerable Albertans about implementing the necessary reforms to fix our health care. Mr. Speaker, we can do better. Albertans are looking for the type of leadership that made this province great, leadership that created the Alberta success stories in our ranching and farming communities and the oil patch. They are looking for leadership in balancing the budget without compromising our front line. They are looking for leadership that looks the challenges of the global economy straight in the eye and does not blink. And from what we have seen so far, we are not getting this from our newest Premier. She has flopped on her democratic reform. She's failed to set election dates. She's flopped in coming back to allow free votes here in the legislature. And what we know is that we've seen a 9-month hiatus where government MLAs can speak out, but now that the leadership race is over, is anything going to change? It was very sad to realize that all of those individuals over there voted for Bill 50 and said it's a wonderful thing, and yet when we have a leadership debate, they start to denounce it, and now the silence will set in again and the lack of democracy. But, Mr. Speaker, probably the most concerning is this Premier committed to balance the budget?
Honourable members, the Assembly stands adjourned until 1:30 p.m. tomorrow.